What is up, my reefing fam? March here. This is Fragbox TV. It's kind of like a TV channel. If you don't already know, we try to do a reef-related topic every single day of the week. I know, it's crazy. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already done that. What are we going to talk about today, Diggs? Huh? Why don't we ask the dog? Mr. Diggs, what do you want to talk about? This guy doesn't respond much. Actually, this dog is getting quite old. Had this dog, I know you're here for corals, but you're going to listen to me for about 30 more seconds. He's coming up on 11, and he's having trouble now holding it in. So he just made a pee-pee there in the front of the store, and it's becoming more and more frequent as he gets older. And it sucks, and I love him, and we had a good run, eh, puppy? I just try not to think about it. Anyways, I want to talk to you today about the store, and I want to talk to you today about COVID. COVID and the hobby, and how it has affected the hobby, and a little bit more specifically on how it has affected our store here in Toronto. If you don't already know, it's a coral store that specializes in coral frags and all the hardware and cleanup crew and all that fun stuff. And maybe you're tired about hearing about COVID sort of in the news and in general and on social media, because we're going through a really confusing and strange time in the world in general, and it affects everybody in so many different ways. So I'm going to kind of maybe talk to you about my experience with it and how it has affected the industry and this store here and business, and kind of give you my kind of take on it. I'm not going to talk about vaccines. I'm not going to talk about masks. I'm not going to talk about any of that stuff. Just about the impact, I guess, COVID has had on us here at Fragbox. So number one, I have to start with a thank you, because when we originally locked down, I think most of the world did that March of, when was it, 2020? Everything's a blur for me now. The last 2 years, whatever it's been, went by like that. But we, like most businesses, we closed our doors and we moved to curbside only. So I have to say thank you to the customers who continued to support us, that came to the store. Remember our little checkout counter that we had built here with our plexiglass? It was crazy. And we would try to serve you guys at the door, and we were running orders out to the car, and you guys adapted to that. And even though it was frustrating and we were trying our best, and you know, we made mistakes, I don't know how to say thank you. And it would take me a whole other video to show how appreciative I am to our customers for not only keeping us, you know, open and going. We were busy. We were busy when businesses were closing down and firing. We hired. We needed more help. So for that, I'm so forever grateful. One really cool thing that it did, our website, it's not the best website. I know that. It's a little old. It's a little buggy. I built it. It's WordPress based, if you're into websites and you know what that is. So it's coming up on, I want to say 12 years old. And I'm always trying to update it and make it look fresh, but it's old. It's an old site and it works. So we try not to play around with it too much. You guys are able to see, you know, all the corals we have in stock. But prior to COVID, our website sucked in terms of hardware. Our selection, like the way it was junk. Straight up, our site for the corals are pretty good. You know, you go here, all coral frags, and you can kind of see what we had in stock. But for the hardware, because half of the business, or maybe more than half, you know what, I don't know, I haven't really looked at the numbers in a while. We do, you know, the livestock portion, we do the corals, we do the fish, which is a small portion for us because we only do captive bred fish. So that's going to limit us primarily to clownfish, dotty backs, some sorts of cardinals. We get some mandarins, which are kind of cool, out of the States, and from where do we buy them from? ORA, awesome company. We work with Pro Aquatics as well. These are companies that captive breed fish. Hopefully we're going to get some yellow tangs. Very small part of the business. The other portion is the inverts. This is a little bit bigger, the cleanup crew, the snails, the crabs, the urchins, the mangroves, and the shrimp, and all this fun stuff. And then finally, the hardware portion of the business, which I personally really love. I love the hardware, the gadgets, the lights, the pumps, the tanks, the stands, the sumps, all the stuff that you need. It's almost like a hobby in itself. I love building new tanks and new systems, and I love when new stuff comes out, like these over here, the Neptune skylights. I love Neptune. Big shout out to Neptune. I have no experience with these lights yet. I got to hook some up. Or maybe that's the question of the day. Has anyone out there tried them? Can you comment on them? Because people ask us, are they any good? They're $1,100. I want to say yes, because everything else they make is amazing. I have no experience with these. So maybe comment below if you guys have the lights, and you can, if you can let us know what you think. You know, they're so new that there's basically no reviews on them yet. But what I'm trying to get at is the hardware is a very important part of the business, and our website stunk. Our website was so bad for ordering hardware. So when COVID hit, it really got my ass in gear to revamp it. And I'm going to be straight up. I went to a little website you might know called Bulk Reef Supply. If you don't already know them, they're freaking huge. You know what? They're my idols. That's who I look up to. Not only in terms of the website, I look up to Bulk Reef Supply for their service. Their service is impeccable. At least in my experience. Maybe you've had a bad experience with Bulk Reef Supply. They take care of us anytime I've had an issue. Their service is just awesome. Their website and their videos. Everybody knows, if you're following us, I'm gonna say with confidence, with certainty, you're probably already following Bulk Reef Supply. You're probably following Reef Builders, Inappropriate Reefer, 12G, Aquarium Guy. There's some other ones out there. I'm just kind of listing off the biggest ones. So we look up to them. We idolize Bulk Reef Supply. I look at them for inspiration in all those different ways. And their website, in my experience, in my opinion, is really good. It's really easy to use and navigate. So I took the inspiration from them for organizing all the hardware on the site. You couldn't shop like this before. You couldn't find shit. You know what? Usually I don't swear. Sorry if the kiddos are watching this one out there. You couldn't find shit on our site. It sucked, and it's a lot more organized now. So why I had to do that was because no one could come in the store, and we still had to sell all the hardware. It's a very important part of the business. We got to make sales, or get the hardware out the door. So COVID really put the fire under my butt. Like, okay, I've been putting this off for years. Like, I knew that the site needed a nice update, refresh, and I had to get all the hardware because there were so many little products. Something simple like calcium. You need calcium for your tank, or you're dosing it. We're in a pandemic. You can't even buy it off the site. So it really, I'm so thankful that happened, because it really got, like I said, got my butt in gear to go ahead and revamp the site. Second thing, we were busy. We were really busy with shipping. I think that's because people are at home and people were bored. And if anyone ever thought of, some people were off work. Your business shut down, you're taking some sort of government subsidy, you're at home, and if you've ever thought about starting a reef tank, that time alone with COVID maybe gave you that chance. I think people had a lot of disposable, those that were fortunate enough had, some people had some disposable income, money that you would have spent on, let's say, traveling, because we all know that traveling due to COVID went to zero. No one's moving, no one's going anywhere. We're spending that money, in Cabo and in Cancun at the all-inclusive, or maybe the Carnival cruise ships. I don't know how you guys like to travel. That money that you would have spent on traveling is now, what do we do with this? We're at home, we got a little bit of money. Honey, I've watched this crazy guy from Canada talk about setting up a reef tank for the past 6 months. Shit, let's just go ahead and do it. So I think that's my theory, because we sold a lot. We saw so many new people get into the hobby, it's been awesome. Not only because we have all these new, a larger community here in Toronto, in Canada in general, but just that there's all these new hobbyists. It's good for business. There's more people that are going to be buying our products, and it's just good for the hobby in general, to have more people doing it. It becomes a little bit less niche, and it's so thanks to COVID for that. I'm trying to stay grateful. I don't want to talk about too many of the negative things. Let me know. I wonder if I can think of any of the negative things. It was stressful. It was definitely stressful, the uncertainty. I didn't know we were going to be busy. I lost out on, and you know what? I'm going to do another video on my biggest regret as a business owner, something that I really messed up on, and that's because of COVID. So I'm going to do a whole video talking about that. There was a unit for rent, a couple shops down, and it ended up being this weed dispensary. Anyways, it was double the size, and you guys always hear me complain in the videos, oh my God, our store is so small. And it's gone through a lot of changes. It wasn't, I didn't realize we needed more space. I took this spot because I live in the area. I actually live like a block down the street, so it's nice, I'm able to walk to work. But it's tiny, and I should have rented that place, but because of all the uncertainty with COVID, I was afraid to sign the lease on a new business. So that was kind of a kick in the butt, and I missed out on a great rental property that I could have grabbed. Other than that, COVID has affected corals in terms of price. So why are corals more expensive than ever? Slowly, naturally, over time, the price of things, inflation, whatever, they go up, right? But COVID has really affected the cost of shipping. Holy, I want to show you the invoices, what we pay for shipping now. We're 4 to 5 times what we used to pay for shipping. So when you ship a coral, it's got to come in water. Of course, you can't ship them dry, with the exception of a few, actually. This entire video feels like one long ass sidetrack. So maybe that's what this video is. But my sidetrack of the day, if I'm allowed one, is that zoanthids, from 1 or 2 suppliers that we order from, actually ship in a bag without any water. What they do is they simply wrap them in wet newspaper and they send them to us in a styrofoam box, and they're like that for 2 days and they're fine. That's just a testament to how hardy zoas are. I'm telling you, out of water, wet newspaper, and they send it to us without any bags, and they make it. 90% of them, 95% of them are fine. They're not dry, they stay moist, but no, you cannot do that. You cannot send a beautiful Acanthophilia over here. This is actually for sale, if I'm allowed a sales plug in this video. It's a $600, just wow, incredible piece. You're not sending this thing dry. It's got to come in a large bag of water. Same with these rocks here that I was just showing you. These come in a 10 or 12 inch bag. You can fit about 4 to 6 of them in a large styrofoam box, and those styrofoam boxes cost thousands. They got to come here very quickly from overseas, because we're here in Canada. We're far from Indonesia, Australia, Fiji, Vietnam, the places where we acquire corals. So it's got to come here very fast on a plane, and they come in water, which is very heavy. So because of COVID, the cost of everything's gone up, right? The price of oil and gas. If you have filled up a tank of gas lately in Toronto or in Canada, you know what I'm talking about. So the cost of shipping has crazy gone up. We're paying 4 to 5 times what we used to pay. And the vast majority of the cost of coral, at least for us, is in the shipping, because the coral is cheap. A piece like this, I don't know where you're watching from, but you know, if you're in Vietnam, what does this cost? Maybe comment below. This is like $10 US. $15 US. The coral is so plentiful, but to get it here in a bag of water, we got to ship it, and that's why here it's going to cost $250 for a piece like this. And the cost of shipping, I just keep talking about it, because imagine something going up 4 to 5 times. I'm used to paying, it was about $5 a kilo, so it's charged per kilo by the airlines. We're closer to $20 to $25 a kilo. So imagine filling up your tank of gas for your car. It was $40, and now it's $200. It's a huge difference. It's reflected in the price of the corals, and they've gone up a lot. If you've been in the hobby, I don't know if you're new to the hobby, if you've been in the hobby for a while, then you've seen those prices creep up. I don't know if they go back down. I don't know if shipping companies, if airlines, you say, you know, okay, COVID's coming to an end, which I hope at some point there is an end to the pandemic. Who knows, right, where we're going. It's looking good. At least here in Toronto, it's looking positive. Our masks come off hopefully in a couple of weeks, and we start to see a little bit of normalcy, a little bit of regular life, which would be nice. But I don't know what happens with the prices. Maybe the airlines keep these prices high. Look at all these bananas and bozos are paying these crazy prices. Why are we going to lower them? So I don't know. I don't know where we go from here, but corals have gotten quite expensive. So that is definitely an impact of COVID on the industry and on the price of the corals. What else? What else is COVID? I'm just kind of ranting and thinking as I go here. If you've seen any of the other videos, you know that they're very much unscripted. I like to call it raw reefing. Haha. Yeah, it's not funny, March. But yeah, I kind of like it off script and a little bit more, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? Natural, unplanned. It's where you get the funny, you get the little sidetracks, and you get the I hope our character and our personalities, the people here that work at the store that I love like family, I hope they come through the videos. It was really cool, actually. We had somebody walk in for the first time maybe a month ago, and he was talking to Tia, and he was watched all the videos up until then for like 7-8 months, and he's like, I just feel like I know you. I just feel like, you know, he's meeting her for the first time. He doesn't know her, but he just kept saying like, it's so cool to meet Tia in person, so cool to meet you, March, in person. I feel like I know you. And we just had Theo came over from Hamilton. If you're ever in the area, we love to meet in person. Please feel free to come by the store. We are open 7 days a week here in Toronto. And maybe in your States, you want to make a drive up here. The COVID restrictions are relaxing a little bit. If you want to come across the border, we have a lot of people drive up from the US and take corals back. You got to figure out the rules, the legislation with the US Fish and Wildlife. You know that some zoas are, there's no problem. You can zoas and softies and stuff without any, they call it scalartinia, which is basically the Latin name or the fancy name for the live rock, which is all protected. So actually, a lot of times when we import coral, we're not even really importing the coral. So for an example, zoanthids. Let me find some zoanthids so we get some content here. These are some orange rainbows off to the left, and these are some Armageddons. Oh crap, I want to talk about rainbows in a second too. But we don't actually import the zoa. We do. We import the zoa, but there's no permits. Zoas are not protected under any conventional, there's no CITES, which is the Convention on International Trade of Endangered Species. They're not considered endangered. They're soft coral, they grow like a weed. If you've kept them in your tank, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They grow like crazy. What we need permits for is the rock. The rock that it comes on, all those bases are actually protected. So if you look at the CITES, when I'm importing coral, which is actually happening tonight, I'll talk about that in a second. We're actually importing the scalartinia. We're getting permits for the rock that it comes on. I know that it's maybe I'm not explaining it correctly, but that base that it's on there is actually the protected part. The thing I wanted to say about rainbow, I'm going to go through the site and I'm removing anything that says rainbow. I'm so tired of ultra and rainbow. These words are used to describe everything, and I'm guilty of it as a marketing sort of strategy. I use the word ultra to describe stuff that's really nice. I'm just gonna say really nice, or super gold, or extra gold. It's become so diluted, the word rainbow, in the hobby. It's not rainbow. If something's red and green, it's not rainbow. Anyways, I'll do another video if you want to hear March rant about I don't know. I'm gonna try and make a change. I'm just tired of the words ultra and the words rainbow, and even something that's rainbow incinerator. It's on our site as that. I'm gonna call it incinerator. I can't use the word rainbow anymore. I'm doing an embargo, and that's a whole separate video. But in terms of COVID affecting the hobby, other than prices, availability, so we weren't able to get. For a while, we were dry, actually. Now that I think back, these tanks were empty. Oh my God, yeah. Now that I'm thinking back, we couldn't get any coral. There were no flights. Flights were just not happening because the corals come on the underside, on the cargo side of passenger flights. But nobody's traveling. Nobody's going from Indonesia to Toronto or from Hong Kong. Nobody was moving. So they canceled so many of the flights, and we simply could not get this stuff over here. And then there were some that we just... the price was too high. We said, we can't afford it. This doesn't make any sense. We're not going to make any money. We're literally going to bring it in, sell the coral as long as it's alive. I don't know, maybe we break even. CITES offices were closed for a while, so we couldn't get the permits to bring in coral. So there was a lot of uncertainty and stress around that time, and trying to keep everyone, customers happy, and then trying to stay safe, and also trying to, keep the employees busy and keep everyone's mouths fed. And yeah, it was a really confusing and tough time. And I guess I'm making the video why it came to me today is because finally can sort of see the light at the end of the tunnel, at least for us. I'm not sure how it is where you're watching. I think the whole world is I'm really sorry, actually, if anyone out there, I'm talking about corals, and I'm talking about business and money and importing. If you've lost a loved one to this pandemic, and I'm being maybe a little bit insensitive in the video, sorry. I'm gonna just go ahead and apologize. The video is about the pandemic affecting us, and it's maybe it's a little bit narcissistic to only talk about us, but that's what we do here. We talk about corals and we talk about Fragbox. So my apologies to anyone that, if you've suffered a loss or anything related to it. Thankfully, I can't say that we have, and not anyone that I know personally. I know a lot of people that got it. I just don't know anybody that passed away. But I'm in a weird and maybe dark and messed up way a little bit grateful. For us, at least here in the store, good things came from COVID, and it's really kind of a messed up thing to say. So probably something I should have mentioned at the beginning of the video, something very good for us that came out of COVID was this channel, was Fragbox TV, the YouTube channel. I don't think would have ever happened without COVID happening. I always wanted to do videos. I'm sorry, I'm just like aimlessly, what am I doing? I'm aimlessly showing you corals as I talk. I have the camera here, and I'm just kind of running over. I realized it was all LPS, so now I'm just kind of going through the SPS beds because we got in some really cool new acro. So I'm just going to continue to show you corals on the screen while you listen to me rant. So the channel, the channel would not be here today without COVID. I always wanted to start a YouTube channel, and why hadn't I? If you go back, I was posting videos 8, 9 years ago. There's some really old ones if you sort by date. They're really crappy, but I didn't have the time to start the channel, so COVID in a way sort of gave me the time. And I also didn't have the confidence, I'm gonna say, didn't have the confidence to start this channel. I felt like I didn't know enough, and I felt like I needed to know the answers to everything. And I still don't, and I realize I'm never going to, so it was as good a time as any, but I wasn't confident, for sure. And I realized I don't need to know everything. I just gotta share with you some corals. I just gotta share with you guys our experiences and what we do know, and stop focusing on what we don't know, because this hobby is never ending. There's no rule book. There's no real right or wrongs. There's so many different ways of keeping corals and reef tanks and all that fun stuff. And yeah, I just wasn't confident enough to do it. So, COVID also, if you know me personally, I lost a ton of weight during COVID. I dropped 80 pounds, 90 pounds. So that was kind of a transformative time for me, and gave me a lot of confidence losing the weight. So if you knew me before, I was a big chunky monkey. I was 5'10" and 260 pounds. I was a big dude. You hear my voice, but you don't see me behind the camera. You don't see me too often. And I was camera shy when I was bigger, for sure. And with the weight lost due to COVID, definitely started working out at home in my spare time, lost the weight, gained confidence, was able to get on camera. So again, no COVID, no Fragbox TV. These are really nice. These are some maricultured Indonesian Montipora digitata. They're called forest fires. The blue ones are really nice too. I'm talking to you about weight loss now and starting a YouTube channel instead of talking to you corals. But I warned you at the beginning that this was going to be a long, ranting sort of video. If you are still here and listening to it, thank you. Appreciate that. And it may also be important to note, the channel has been, I would say, semi-successful, medium. We've experienced a glimpse of YouTube success, thanks to you guys, our followers. I think we're up to, right now, at the time of posting, it's about 12,500 subscribers on the channel. But I think COVID, in part, may have a role to play with that too. Are you watching more YouTube because of this pandemic? Are you at home more? The worse it got for us, the more restrictions, business closures, the more negative things that we saw related to the pandemic, the more I saw the viewership increase on the channel. It's kind of a weird thing to note, but I have this back-end analytics on YouTube, and it shows me when people subscribe. It also shows me how long you watch. So I try, and it's interesting to see when people drop off, because maybe you lose attention, or you get bored of listening to me talk, or you got, whatever, the video is too long. So we kind of use that to help shape the length of the videos, and the sweet spot seems to be right around 20 minutes, about 20 minutes for each episode. But I'm grateful to our customers, and again, like I said at the beginning of the video, I can never say in enough words how thankful. The way you guys adapted. Oh, curbside, sure, no problem, March. Okay, you're gonna run it to our car. This is how we do it. We check out here. Whatever we did, you guys adapted to it, and then we got the courier service going, and it's our customers are awesome. We absolutely love you guys, and you make it all worth it. It doesn't feel like work. I come to work. I'm almost here 7 days a week, and it's because it doesn't feel like work. I enjoy being around the animals. I enjoy being around the customers. I enjoy the dog. The staff is like family. It's like hanging out with my friends every day, and we just happen to all be in the same hobby. And it's fun. It's really enjoyable. So I think that's about it. Feels like a good time to wrap up this one. That's probably the longest March rant you're ever going to hear on any Fragbox TV video. When you guys send us those emails and say, hey man, love the channel, I watch every day, or when you call, some people pick up the phone and call. We get phone calls literally from all over the world. Those words of encouragement, it means a lot to us. We really appreciate when you pick it up and say, hey man, just calling to say, love you guys, love the channel. You know, we really appreciate it because that keeps us going. We do enjoy it, but the feedback definitely helps. And yeah, we'll be back here tomorrow because like I said, we do a video here we try every single day of the week. This tank, coming along nicely. I hope you all saw the update video that I did the other day. I'm finally gonna do some acro. I gotta stop talking. That's the end of this video. Thanks for watching, guys. I will see you back here tomorrow. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. This is the outro. Diggs, we did good. Love you guys, and we'll see you back for Fragbox TV.